I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. The magnetic bar is still a handy thing to have for those odd lot things that you don't really know what the heck to do with right now. So it gets put back up. Now you would think a guy with all these hand drivers would probably be using a screwdriver. Now that aggravates my carpal tunnel. And using this driver does not. Now these little tools that are awaiting repair. That serve a useful purpose. And things that are new to the shop that haven't found a home yet. Lets me have them handy, and they also are kind of front of mind because they're right there in front of me. That little rack over here, that's been around, oh, a good 20 years. One of the first racks that I made because I needed a place to put the hole saws. They don't go very well in odd places, but it's too small. I have all these additional hole saws that actually have a use, but they are so occasional that I decided to keep them back in that jar. This needs to be able to handle more stuff than it does because there's things on there that I use all the time that have just now become part of the group, like these brushes. They go real well with the arbor on the motor, but I think I need a place for the arbor and the motor to go so that that has a home and is useful. Now the last little rack to fill up is one that holds the saw blades for the sawzall and the jigsaws and the hacksaws. This was a special one that I ground down to fit inside of a hole because I needed a long, thin one. You don't use it very often, but when you do need it, it's nice to have around, so I keep it. These came home in toolboxes. Quite handy to have. This is a 10-inch blade in this one. It's a cobalt 10-inch blade just because that's what came home in it. I don't have a use for a 10-inch blade. I don't have a 10-inch saws. I have saws that are just down to 10 inches, but I use a standard 12-inch for most everything. This is an all-way saw, and this is one of those things that you have because it came home in a box and you don't want to throw it away because it does have value. But it's like this one, almost exactly like this one. The blades don't stay in them very well. This one's been taped up by somebody long ago. They still work. This is a hacksaw blade. You can reach inside and cut things that you can't hardly get to any other way. So I hang on to them. They go over there off to the side. This is an antique hacksaw blade holder. I have two of them. This one is a different brand and a different style. I don't have a bolt to go in that. I still keep it around just because it's cool and I like it. This was one of the first tools that my dad gave me. He didn't have a use for it and knew that I would take care of it if he ever did need to have a use for it. Having these someplace where you can get to them easily means I'm much more likely to use the saw. I do have to come up with another hacksaw blade, or another batch of hacksaw blades. As you can see, these little things tend to accumulate. This is a great neck saw. That's an all-way saw, almost identical. This is a Stanley 15-275. And it's got a 15-277 blade in it. Almost an exact match for the hookup on this. I think the blades are interchangeable. Almost interchangeable. There they go. Clips in there pretty good. This actually holds on better than the original blade in there. Maybe it's because Stanley did a little better job with it. When you get it in and out, you push down on that tab there and that lets it slide out from underneath that stopper. And you can pull the blade around and go like that. Looks like the Stanley blade is just a little thicker and stiffer. This one somebody obviously cobbled up. They put a screw in there to hold it together. This is a Stanley Handyman, and we all know what the Handyman name means. Not worth much. This one has a little screw that goes into the top of it, and I think it's supposed to tighten down and lock that blade in place. Probably doesn't hold very well, that's why it's got a bolt in it. Two of those should go on eBay. At least two. And I need to have some hacksaw blades just because I'm down to just the ones that are in the saws and one spare and a partially dull one. That means that they're really at the point of if I break one, I'm not going to have a replacement. This thing is a drywall jab saw, brand new in the box. Came from the nice lady at the rummage sale that said, "Hey, you look like a guy that could use some tools. You want these?" Of course. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.